On big teams, big story this morning from Fabrizio Romano, or teams that are going to be challenging. Oh, hang on. There's been an update now, is there? Oh, no, no, he's retweeted it. So it's I told you, I spoke to a journalist earlier on about this story. So Fabrizio has said that Chelsea are advancing in talks with Xavi Simmons on personal terms. I spoke to a journalist off the record earlier on today who both said that that's practically done, or it is done. The announcement's going to come out soon that personal terms are agreed. I said that to you behind the scene. Fabrizio has just in the last few seconds retweeted that. Xavi Simmons to Chelsea. How important or big or good of a deal do you think that is for their season ahead?
He's a good player. It's always weird with Chelsea to figure out what they're going to do. Because they almost seem like they have a scattergun approach whereby they'll just go, we're just going to pick up anyone who's available who is of a good level and above. Xavi Simmons is a good player. He's not going to start with a Cole Palmer in a 10, which in my opinion is probably his best position. And then left wing, they've just signed Gittins. I'm trying to think who else they have who can play left wing. Maybe no one else. So if that's the case, maybe it's him and Gittins who
they have Tyreek George, and they, maybe Garnacho.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's difficult to pin down. Chelsea almost seem like they're trying to build two starting 11s, one for the cup competitions and one for the league and Champions League, which is almost the dream scenario for every big team, right? It's just how do they do that and build that? I mean, they bought Delap and Pedro, and then they've still got Jackson now. So it all depends on how they sell as well. Again, João Pedro is another player who can actually play in the 10 as well, so he could rotate with Palmer. So you could actually effectively have him and Palmer for the 10. João Felix is gone now, right? Or is he still at the club?
João Felix, he's still officially at the club, but he's going to go.
But he's going. Sterling's officially there, but I'm sure he'll be going as well. They've got amazing squad depth. I don't know if they've got any world-class players outside of Cole Palmer, people would argue. But they've got fantastic depth. I think they still need to address centre-back and goalkeeper especially. If they do that, then I think Chelsea will be in a position where they could genuinely challenge for the Premier League. As of right now, I see them as a top 4 team. But they're going to be a horrible team to play against next season.
Yeah, no, I hear. They are going to be. They're going to be a very difficult team. They're going to be a very difficult team. I think they've grown up so much as well. I think they've just gone to like another.
For anyone in the chat, I don't think Caicedo is world class yet. Personally, I don't. I mean, I've not seen him play Champions League. Surely, to be world class, you got to play Champions League at least one season to see you against the top level players, right? Or have I missed something?
I mean,
unless you guys can name me a player out there who's world class who hasn't played Champions League. Anyone?
Does the Club World Cup not count?
No. By the way, I'm not downplaying the trophy saying it's a crap trophy to win. Congratulations to Chelsea. But all right, if we're going to really break this down, then we'd all agree Caicedo's first year at Chelsea was a mixed bag. And then his second season at Chelsea was very good. Again, to young Cuenca, I've never called Gravenberch world class. I don't think Gravenberch is world class. I don't think you can be called world class after one season. You guys can come up with me for Liverpool players. I'll be the first to say who is world class and who isn't world class. If you're going to call someone world class after 1 year in having one good season in the Premier League and not playing Champions League football, then respectfully, I kind of don't know what we're doing here.
Who do you? I want to ask this question: who offers more to a top Premier League team right now, Declan Rice or Caicedo? Who do you think has proven themselves more, Declan Rice or Caicedo at the highest level?
Honestly, probably Declan Rice. I think Caicedo is the better player, but Declan Rice has probably proven more because he's had the platform to prove more. But I think Caicedo is the better player.
I understand that. Yeah, listen, the Champions League argument holds water, and a lot of Chelsea fans will turn around and say they're a bigger club than Arsenal because they've gone and won the Champions League.
Yeah, well, right now they are a bigger club than Arsenal, but that doesn't mean that Caicedo is world class. Caicedo is a fantastic footballer. But once again, I ask the question: can you be called world class after having one very good season in the Premier League and not having played in the Champions League? Like, you have to play in the biggest and best competitions to be given those titles. You have to be. Haaland wasn't called world class before he started playing in the Champions League and playing for City and all that. So if that's the case, anyone who just has one good season in the Premier League is world class. If that's the case, Wiss is world class then. Why are we not calling Whistle world class? Why are we not calling, when Patrick Bamford scored a bag of goals in the COVID season, why are we not calling him world class? Because world class means you've got to do it over a sustained period at the top level in the best competitions. I thought this was surely a common knowledge thing though around football fans, but clearly not.
I've had this conversation with Don a few times about Arsenal's midfield versus Chelsea's midfield, and he doesn't comprehend or not comprehend. Well, no, I don't know if he does understand what I'm saying or gets what I'm saying. Doesn't need to agree. And I think we do. I don't know if you notice this a lot in football debates now. You don't understanding someone doesn't mean you agree with them. And I think sometimes people do understand you, but they almost don't want to admit that they understand you because it's endorsing your message, I think, to a certain degree. And big up DJ for watching us on your way back from Tenerife. Big up yourself, mate. And I look at it because for the last 3 years, I think the engine room, I think the midfield of a team is the most important part. I don't think you can be in title races. I don't think you could advance into the latter stages of major competitions without a top midfield. I just don't think it's plausible. I don't think it's possible. And I look at what where Arsenal have got to. And I won't use the word achieve because that triggers people. But we are comparing it to Chelsea, who did brilliantly to win the Club World Cup. But let's be honest, if Arsenal last season were in the Conference League, there's a fantastic chance they win it. There really is a fantastic chance they win it.
They'd walk that.
Exactly. So it's hard to compare that trophy. But the Club World Cup is there. Well, West Ham won it, exactly. So I look at it this way. I look at Arsenal's midfield over the last 3 seasons, and I look at its stability of protecting its back line. I look at the fact they had 2 seasons back-to-back where they broke their own goal-scoring record. They got into title races nobody expected. And I have a feeling it's going to get even better this year with Zubimendi. I think Norgard's also being completely underrated as an addition to the midfield. And Chelsea's is amazing. I love Chelsea's midfield. I think it's brilliant. But I do get your point that it's not just, and this was the one thing I said to Don the other day, they did very, very well in the beginning of last season and brilliantly from kind of March to the end of the campaign. Very average middle of the season. This is the biggest test this campaign for Chelsea's midfield, if we're going to debate it, playing 2 games a week at the highest level. Premier League, Champions League, Premier League, Champions League. That's not just when you're tested on a technical level, but physically and probably more importantly, mentally. Can you mentally get yourself up to those levels 2 games a week? And remember, there's 8 group games now that go right through to January. And that's what I loved about last season, because normally you get early December, the final last 2 league games are often dead rubbers, group games are dead rubbers. Then you wouldn't see the Champions League till February. It goes right through to January. There's almost no break in it now. And and this year as well, there's a reason to keep fighting till the end. The higher you finish, the better your draw is going to be for the knockout games. So I'm not saying that Chelsea are not capable. And this is the problem with so many of these conversations now. Chelsea's midfield is amazing. But I absolutely agree with you that prove it at the highest level, week in, week out, 2 games a week, maintain the title push and deliver. And then I think people will give you that crown that you are seeking. And I do agree. That to be said, I think Caicedo is amazing. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I'd bend over backwards to have him in my team. I think he's fantastic.
So I'm not down the sword. I was twerking for Caicedo a couple of years ago. I got clipped up for months, bro. But at the same time, in the same way, I'll sit here and I'll tell you, Gravenberch had a fantastic season last season. I don't think Gravenberch is world class. Konate had a fantastic season last season. I don't think Konate is world class. I'll sit here and I'll tell you my players who I think are brilliant, but they're not world class. Because for me, world class is given to players who are consistent for a sustained amount of time. Anyone can have a brilliant season here or there, but can you do it over 2-3 years at the highest level across multiple competitions? Because if you can't, then you're not world class. Caicedo hasn't been given that chance yet. When he's given that chance and he proves he can do it, then I'll say he is. But until then, you can't say he is. He's a fantastic footballer. one of the best DMs in the league, if not the best, some would say, apart from Rodri. But I need to see it in the Champions League because that's the barometer, right? Because everyone would say, and again, you know me, Terry, I'm not the biggest Arsenal person out there. Everyone would say, oh, Saka's this, Saka's that. And I'd turn around, or people turn around and be like, Saka ain't played in the Champions League. How are you calling him world class? Last season, we saw Saka in the Champions League against Real Madrid, against some of the other big teams. And what did we start saying? Maybe he is there now. Maybe we can start putting him in those conversations. But I hold the same energy for everyone. Like, if you're at Liverpool and you're Gravenberch, who's had a fantastic season in the league, and the Champions League as well, but you've only done it for 1 year, I can't call you world class. Can't call you world class. So you can get at me and attack me, but I'll hold the same energy for my own players. I'm not going to sit there and say you're world class off the back of one season. And to say you're world class at Brighton, if that's the case, then why does no one say, when Liverpool fans say Virgil was world class before he came to Liverpool? I never heard that argument when he was at Southampton. So why all of a sudden was Caicedo world class at Brighton?
Well, it means Cunha and I want to see everybody in the comments say that Mbeumo and Cunha are world class. They were doing it in worse teams, scoring like 20 goals last year. 20 league goals is like this kind of utopian goal for strikers. This was a winger that scored 20 in a worse team in the hardest league in the world. Why is no one calling him world class?
Exactly.
Because he isn't yet or ever. But he's very, very good.
Again, someone in the comments says you don't think Isak's world class. No, I've never said the words Isak's world class. He's not. I'm not seeing him prove it in a Champions League.
I'm by the way, I'm agreeing with where you're coming from. I do actually think Caicedo is the best DM in the world. But what I will say,
Rodri.
Right now, well, Rodri's been injured and been playing. I'm talking currently. Does that make sense? Like in terms of Rodri ain't been playing. I get your point on Rodri. Where I get where you're coming from is this. I think this season Caicedo will prove it to people that are. And by the way, Cal isn't doubting him. Cal's just saying I've got to see it first.
Not there yet.
Or not there yet. I believe he is there yet. I believe he is there, and I believe he'll do a brilliant job. But I do get where Cal's coming from. I absolutely get where you're coming from completely.
You need to see it.
Yep, that's fair. That is fair. That's fair. That is a really fair point. And what I will say about what Cal, and Cal don't need me to defend him, but I will, is Cal's holding that same standard for his own players. So you can't say he's a hater when he's saying it about his own players at the same time. Not in my personal opinion. Not in my personal opinion anyway. But away from that, back to Xavi Simmons, which actually what we were talking about. I do think it's a very good piece of business for Chelsea. I also think it's a bit. They just need to keep improving. They need this quality. Still want to see them sign a goalkeeper because, for me, Chelsea fans might not like hearing this, but I stand on it. I'm judging them based on how they compete for the league title next year. I'm not saying they got to win it because I'm really sick of in this space. X must, Y must, Z must. I heard yesterday Arsenal must win the league. I was like, I hear you. Do you think they're the favourites? No. City and Liverpool are better. Then I don't understand that they must. Then I get must win a trophy because there's 4 things you're in for, and you can win trophies. That's fair. I'm not doing this. Chelsea must win the league. Fuck off. That's just stupid. They're not the favourites. They're the 4th favourite. But I am going to judge them based on how much they close the gap on Liverpool, City, Arsenal, and how far they get pushed. If they're like February, fall off and end up nowhere near the title, I think that's a disappointing Premier League season for them. I don't think you can have the growth they have, the trophies they've just won, the money that's been spent, the plethora of quality in the squad, because the growth in some of these players in the last 2 to 3 months has been amazing. They've got to go to that next level in the league now for me. And I think Xavi Simmons, I think he helps them bridge that gap. I really do.
I do as well. I think Chelsea are dark horses this season. Like, I don't think you can beat PSG and be a rubbish team. I don't think you can win the Club World Cup and be a rubbish team. I think last season they underperformed at points because of injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But up until they got the injury, I think it was to Jackson, they were cooking last season. And I think that affected Cole Palmer as well because he had naturally had no one to kind of fizz the ball into and who could play off Cole Palmer. So his game suffered from that. And if Cole Palmer's game suffer, ultimately Chelsea's whole game's going to suffer. Chelsea are going to be a bloody hard team to beat. Chelsea are one of the few teams who came to Anfield last season and, in my opinion, almost pretty much played us off the park. We were very lucky to get a win against Chelsea last season. And from last season, I was saying they're a hell of a team. And if they add to it in the summer, they're going to be even harder to beat. And they've got a winning DNA as well. Like, let's say what we say about Chelsea. Pretty much every season, barring a season here or there, they pick up silverware. You have to rate that. You have to rate that. So they will always be in and amongst it. But I think where people will push back on what you said, Terry, is they've spent so much money that you can't just keep on giving them a free pass as well.
No,
there
I
has
agree.
to be a point where you go, hold on, you spent how much money? You spent all this money in this amount of time, and you're still asking for people to go, oh, you know, give them a bit of time. Like, nah, I don't think Man United will be giving that time, Terry. I don't think, bro, this is the first summer Liverpool has spent money. What's the expectation of Liverpool? Go and do League and Champions League next season.
Yeah.
Arsenal spent bare money. What's the expectation? You must win. So why is it different for Chelsea? I think that's what the problem is. Chelsea are afforded a lot of leeway, in my opinion, and we get told the whole, but our squad's young and all this. These are the players you decided to purchase. No one else said you had to purchase this caliber or this age profile of player. You spent this amount of money. This is what you've bought. You've got to cook with what you buy, right? Or else don't buy it. So for me, if any other big team was spending the way they're spending and doing all that stuff, the expectation would be to win something, to do something big. For me, I have to hold the same energy for Chelsea. They have to compete for a long time in the league, and they have to win some form of silverware, or else it's a waste.